Be yourself, Lana. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be yourself. I'm trying to be myself. Trying to be myself. Trying to be myself. Trying to be myself. Okay. Oh, Lordy. Let's try again. Okay, all right. I know that you want to be the best version of yourself. I think most of us want to be great. We want to be great. It's like this thing inside of most of us, if we haven't killed it, that we want to be great. We want to live a purpose-filled life. Why is it? Why do we not do it the way we want to? I think there's a lot of reasons. I'm going to point out one today that I think could be helpful for you, especially starting a new year. If you're watching this much later, y'all, you don't have to wait for a new year to get a restart. You can restart right now. Right now. I'm going to tell you how. All right, I'm Lana from Girl Teach Me. This channel is all about helping you take the next step and leading yourself as a woman. Walk with you as I try to do that myself. Y'all, ain't no perfect mamas around here. Ain't nobody trying to live perfect. If you want to be a better woman, this is your place. I hope you'll hit subscribe. So this is what I think is going to be so life-changing for you, is that most likely you are identifying with the wrong character in your story. I heard this recently from an author, and now that I've heard it, I cannot unhear it. So I'm possibly going to ruin every story or movie. I'm sorry about it, but it's actually kind of fascinating once you see it. There are 4 characters in every story or movie, and they're very separated. And that's typically the victim, the villain, the hero, and the guide. Those 4 characters are in almost every story, and they're very separated. The problem is, in life, they're not separated. We could be operating in all 4 of these characters within a 5-minute span. I'll tell you a little bit more about what I mean by that. So let's just break down each character real quick. So the victim cannot save themselves. They just can't. The victim is just waiting to be rescued. I mean, if you're a mom, you know what it's like to be waiting on your husband, waiting on the babysitter. You know, it's that replaying your mind, like, if I just had some help, if I just had some help. I've heard that played in my mind. That maybe you have too. You know, as a woman, just in general, if you're not a mom, there are a lot of examples, but sometimes we can feel like, oh, the world is out to get us, or because I'm a woman, I can't do this, this, and this. But I think staying a victim is a real problem. And actually, people who have been rescued from human trafficking, who are legit victims, there are real victims in the world, they often try to call them survivors after that, and no longer victims of human trafficking, but rather survivors of human trafficking. There's real victims in the world. Most likely, we are not a real victim at most points in our day. It's okay to be that for, you know, a day or so or a little while, but we've eventually got to kick out of that and step up into the hero role. Now I'll talk more about the hero role in a second. The villain, of course, you've watched millions of villains. And what's interesting is the victim and the villain and the hero, all 3 have pain. It's just that they're doing different things with that pain. And once you see that in stories, it'll be so fascinating, because oftentimes a villain has been orphaned as a child, or they lost a child themselves, or they were really wronged, but they chose to take that pain and then try to hurt the world with that pain, or hurt others with that pain. And that's where we get the hero. The hero transforms through their pain. And so they take something that's really hard, and while they're not currently capable of dealing with that hard thing, they rise up through it. And one thing I love that the author said was, if you pause any hero story in the middle, the hero is very uncomfortable. They don't feel like a hero. They're struggle bussing through it. But we define them by the last 9 minutes of the movie. And we're like, oh, they're so wonderful, when really they struggled most of the movie. And that's us. That's us in life. Life is hard. There is legit struggles. So what the hero has to do is take whatever is hard and transform through that. They need to become the kind of person that can rise up through this. And if you apply this to motherhood, you know, motherhood is really hard. Parenthood is hard. But we can't over time become the mother that our children need us to be. It's not going to happen overnight, and we're going to have to say, I'm sorry, will you please forgive me, so often. And by the way, I think that's being the hero, is apologizing and recognizing when we were wrong and admitting it to others and asking for forgiveness. So who is the guide? Well, ultimately, we want to be the guide. We want to be the guide for our children and for other women. We want to be the guide. The guide's actually the best place to be. That's Yoda, that's Dumbledore. There are so many good guides, but the guide is essential to helping the hero believe that they are capable of rising up through whatever challenges they may have. And as a person of faith, I believe for me, Jesus is my ultimate guide. He's now saying, Lana, you know, it's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me. And yet, remain faithful. Keep walking obediently. Even though it's hard, take the next step of faithfulness. So a guide is essential. You know, another guide that's been really helpful for me is lots of women mentors, lots of peers who are really excelling in an area that I am not currently excelling in. Those women have been essential to helping me believe that I can step up into my calling as a woman and as a mother and as a wife and do the hard things. And so how does this relate to you? I don't know what's hard for you right now. In this new year, I don't know what you need to transform through. I don't know what kind of pain you need to overcome. You know, I don't know what struggle you've been through, but currently you could be a guide for many things, I'm sure. You know, one thing that I've done is I've birthed 4 babies. And so one thing I try to do is help young moms who are having maybe their first or second baby and they're really scared and they're really nervous. So I have a course teaching women how to not be scared about labor. You know, what can you be a guide in right now? That's really the most fulfilling role, is being that coach or that mentor or that friend to help somebody else with their current struggle. But to the degree that we become the victim and we just are waiting on somebody to save us without us putting forth that effort to step up in through that pain, or to the point that we're the villain and we're blaming other people, we're gossiping, or we're being angry and mean and demeaning to our children, we're making people feel small. You know, I've done those things. What happens to the villain in every story, right? He gets eliminated. She doesn't end up victorious, and neither will we if we give the villain and the victim airtime in our lives. So as you embark on a new year and as you set your goals and things like that, I think the number one thing is, what have you been making excuses about? What have you been, you know, acting like a victim in? How much airtime have you been giving to the victim and the villain in your life? Because once you see it, you know, some of it is just, okay, today, you know, I'm going to try to be more of the hero. I'm going to push through the hard things. I'm going to tell myself I can do hard things even when I don't feel like it. And, you know, just little by little by little, I think we will look back on this year and be like, if I have given the hero and the guide more airtime in my life is going to be so much more purposeful and have so much more meaning to it. And really, you know, other people need us. And so if we're living like the victim, we can't step over here and be the guide. And the guide first has to be the hero. And so, you know, whatever pain or struggle you're currently going through, perhaps one day it's so that you can be the guide for somebody else in that current struggle one day. And before you go, I just want to encourage you, if you don't have a guide in your life, find an older, wiser woman and say to her, hey girl, teach me how to do this or that. That's why I named this whole channel Girl Teach Me. I really believe in mentorship. I think it's life-changing. Find another woman you really, really respect and say to her, I need help. And you know what? That's going to help her step into the most meaningful role for her. That's going to help her be the guide. And so you're really giving a gift to her as well.
From generation to generation, passed down through every age, there's a story of a Savior whose love will never change. All creation will bow before Him.